Come back. It's Man Sharpens Man, and we are in the fucking his house here, Charlie. Isn't this sweet?
Yeah,
We got the studio in the basement now. We are gonna think of a cool name for this before the end of the show.
yeah.
This is our new fucking studio, though, Charlie. This is nice, ain't it? We're down in the basement now.
It's professional.
It's way
It's
nicer.
dope. We got the keyboard.
Yeah, we got the keyboard. We got some boom mics. That's fucking sweet. We got sound
Awesome.
effects now. We got everything. We're
Yeah.
fucking professional level now, Charlie. We're getting there.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I'm fucking excited about it. I put this shit together. This is all the Christmas presents. I got boom stands now, people. I got we're gonna get a video feed for this thing real soon because I won't be embarrassed.
It's impressive in here.
Before it was real pathetic. It was a pathetic setup, but it was still you got to
It was
pursue.
punk.
You got to yeah, it was very punk. It's still pretty punk. I
Yeah.
really, another reason I'm looking forward to interviewing your punk guests
Hmm.
is because they're sound guys. I bet you they can teach us a lot about this shit right
No,
here.
They're not.
Oh, they're that punk.
Yeah,
That's very punk.
they don't. Those guys are very much about playing in their garage and making music.
They'll learn eventually, though. You learn
They'll
no
have
matter
to,
what.
yeah.
Yeah, you have
And
to.
I've noticed.
If you want to
yeah.
perform live or do
I
something, you
noticed
got to
I
learn.
learned a lot in the past year since the last time we recorded.
It's weird. I sometimes just rebelling and trying to be a badass. If you're not a fuckhead, you actually do learn something.
You have
It's
to.
sometimes I'm
Yeah.
shocked by how smart some of the punk rockers I hear on podcasts and shit get interviewed are. Have you ever listened to Henry Rollins talk?
Yeah.
That dude is smart as shit.
You have to be a certain kind of smart, I think, to do that shit.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
be that kind of entertainer.
Yeah, because you're taking people's money by having fucking fun.
Yeah.
That's you have to have some brains to be able to get into that in life.
Yeah.
In a way.
Well, yeah. A different kind of, yeah.
It takes
Gotta
a
be
different
kind
drive.
of person, yeah.
Different kind of drive.
It's really fun.
It's
being
fucking
in a band, but
I've never been in a band in the world. I've never really aspired to be in one. I could see it being fun though. I would like to make some music.
I love making music with other people.
I
but
re- I really need to
just
work
really
on
like
learning an
individually.
instrument.
Yeah.
I'd be
Go
the
back to the
cowbell
trumpet.
right now.
You can go back to the trumpet.
I do like ska. Do you like ska music?
Not that much, no.
What? You probably haven't listened to the right kind. You probably just heard like No Doubt and bullshit like that.
Kick Murphys, is that ska?
Oh yeah, I think it is, but that's terrible hipster music too. I'm talking about like ska when it was real and new, like the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Oh, I wasn't alive then.
No, you were not alive. There's some other
And
groups.
I've never gotten into punk, really. They
Yeah.
would always show me punk and stuff, and I'd listen to it just for the sake of being in the band and somewhat knowing it, even though it's all for fun, but I never got into it where I was actually interested in listening to it.
Yeah. There's like a lot of good punk out there though. There really is. Like some of the old punk is a lot better. It was really cool. I listened to a musical podcast recently and they were showing the difference between what like underground music was considered in like 1995 and what underground music today is. And like underground music in 1995 is just like you'd expect, like, not the Misfits, but something that sounded like that, just like, metal-y sounding guitars, like out of tune, like kind of out of tune, but 4-track type recording shit, like real lo-fi type shit.
Yeah,
And now today's underground is more like Dead Mouse or something, where it's like ooh, 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 ooh,
That's
and a
not
bunch of
underground.
disco shit, and it's like,
I don't think that's underground.
I don't think so either. But
It's
that
mainstream dubstep.
mainstream dubstep,
That's
huh?
what it is. It's trash.
Mainstream.
I
That's
don't
some
like any
funny
of that
shit.
EDM
When I have a forked piss
music.
stream in the morning, I really have a hard time just figuring out which one's the mainstream, Charlie.
Yeah.
They got 2 streams of pee. Which one's the mainstream? Which one's a little fatter? That is weird when you have the forked pee stream. You know what the worst thing is? I had this happen today. 2 butt hairs somehow became entangled with each other. So when I stood up, they weren't tugging at each other hard enough to pull one out, but they were tugging enough that they were just pulling at each other.
Yeah, I've heard that's possible.
Yeah, it was a never-ending butt hair tug of war going on down there.
Mm.
I was walking through Walmart. I felt like I wanted to dig it so bad. I wanted to pull one of end the tie once and for all.
Yeah, cut the ties.
Cut the ties that bind the butt hairs. That's a terrible fucking feeling, man. When your butt hairs are like that,
Yeah.
terrible feeling. But this is a great feeling. Don't you like this, Charlie? This is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
We can't smoke a ton of weed in here though. We can only smoke a little bit of weed in here. That's the only
can
drawback. We can vape weed in here. Hell yeah, we can.
Drink coffee.
Drink coffee. I used to eat instant coffee when I was young
Yeah,
and
you told me
stupid.
that.
That's some dumb shit, ain't it? I would roll the coffee into little balls and then just like swallow it with a cup of water as fast as I could because I didn't like to drink coffee,
Yeah.
but I like that caffeine rush. So I'd
Most
eat.
thing I've ever done is I was on a skiing trip in Boyne City with my friend, and we wanted to be able to stay up late because we were, uh, like in 8th grade probably.
Yeah, you only live once. When you're a
Yeah,
kid, you just want to stay up all night
and
all the time.
yeah, we ground up a bunch of coffee grounds and with like milk and probably ice cream or something, and it had the opposite effect. Because if at a certain point,
You just crashed.
fell asleep,
Yeah.
like an hour later, because it's probably too much.
It was too
Coffee
much. Well,
grounds.
when you're a kid, I think caffeine hits you a little different and quicker and harder too when you're younger like that.
It'll either hit you really hard or every once in a while it'll make you both fall asleep.
When I was a kid, they used to have these horrible fucking drugs you could buy at the store, and I think they'd even sell them to us as kids. It was a asthma medication called ephedrine. That's what it was called. And
Yeah,
people called
I've
them
heard
white
that.
crosses. Yeah, you've heard of that shit?
Yeah.
And they were little white pills. They had an X on them. They almost looked like a little aspirin. And you could get like a bottle of 200 of them for almost nothing at the store. And literally, if
It's
you
like
took
speed, right?
oh, it was 100% speed. If you took 2 or 3 of them things, it felt like your hair was growing, your heart would race, like you almost couldn't control yourself.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe they sold that shit over the counter. But that's how the world used to be. Used to be able to be in the back of High Times, Charlie. You know High Times, the weed magazine?
Yeah.
In the back of that motherfucker, once in a while, not once in a while, every issue back in the day, they would have an ad where you could buy the type of cold medicine that you make meth out of, like Sudafed or whatever that shit is. They would sell it, but they wouldn't sell it in the blister pack. They would sell it in the fucking huge economy bag. So it was like a bag of Sudafed that were already out of the packages.
Yeah, you make meth out of Sudafed, right?
Yeah, so they would sell the Sudafed in bulk. I mean, basically, so you could make meth. It was for sale in the Get High magazine, and they sold it in bulk because they knew people were shopping for it in bulk to try to make meth. And back then, it wasn't illegal to sell it. It wasn't like now where you got to go to the pharmacy and take the little card and look like some kind of crackhead because you got a cold and you're buying a fucking pack of fucking 4 pills.
Yeah, there's no way that's an uninformed selling of a bunch of Sudafed at that point.
No, they knew
Not
what
very
they were
cold,
doing.
yeah.
That's one of the reasons the law is cracked down so hard. Like, they used to have a lot of loopholes and shit like that, and companies would take huge advantage of it. They still do. There's all kinds of weird shit. I found out recently that shoes,
Just changes.
yeah, shoes can get sent in, and if they do something to them, like put a thin piece of felt on the bottom, they can call it a slipper, and the import tax for slippers is like 2%, where the import tax for shoes is like 7%. So they like put a piece of felt on the bottom of a tennis shoe so they can import it from China and call it a slipper, pay the low tax, and then when it gets into our country, they have a person sitting there peeling the bottoms off of them so they can call them tennis shoes and sell them for more, you know?
Yeah, somebody's collecting those.
That's some crazy shit, ain't it?
Yeah.
It's a cheater's world sometimes. I hate that shit.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's bad that they're putting leather on slippers.
No, I'm just saying
Or
they're
on
bootlegging
shoes.
the slippers. They're calling a shoe a slipper so they can avoid paying tax.
Well, how can you blame
That's
them?
tax. I can't blame them. I don't want to pay tax either. I don't want to pay tax on Man Sharpens Man, but I would like to start making some money off this.
I mean, it's shady, but yeah. But
You
it's
know,
not
we-
directly hurting anyone.
Start talking to some people that you know that have businesses, Charlie. Tell them we'll sponsor them on this podcast. If you
Yeah.
have a business out there, we will sponsor
There's a
you.
lot of good
Let us
businesses out
sponsor
there,
you
too,
on our
so-
show. Let our fucking power, our audience, let our reach let it pay for you. Whoop whoop whoop. Get us some
Yeah.
reach. The
There
reach.
is, though. This economy is booming in Traverse City.
You know what a reach around
And
is, Charlie?
The podcast is booming too.
Charlie, do you know what a
podcast
reach
world.
around is?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm not going to tell you what it is then. I'm glad you know what
Yeah.
it is. Reach around. Reach around.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
we
like
should
the
make some music,
90s.
Charlie. I would like see I could be the singer, I think. I don't know if I got a singer's voice, but for punk or something, or I
Oh,
could
yeah.
rap a little. I like to rap.
I've been lead singer in punk bands and rap and R&B now.
R&B, smooth listening.
Yeah.
Smooth listening with Charlie. What do you
I've
think
listened
about
to
little
Picnic.
Charlie there?
Yeah, that's dope.
We got a
That'd be
mariachi
good
guy
for a
hanging
music
here.
video.
I actually have this place decorated a little bit. We got dogs playing poker on the wall for
Yeah,
you.
that's dope.
Things to inspire you. Like watching the old Joe Rogan Experience is what made me be like, okay, we need some decorations. Like, we can't be in this dank garage no more. Like, we
Yeah.
recorded in the garage enough. It was fun at first, being in the corner and all the dirtiness and being in the but it's over. We got
Yeah.
a real fucking studio now, Charlie. We got a fucking pool table, ping pong. We can offer our guests something. If you want to be a guest on the show, now I got something to offer the guests. We can shoot a little ping pong, play a little shuffleboard, whatever.
Friendly competition.
Yeah, let your nuts down before you get on the show. I think it'll help guests calm down a little bit.
Yeah, get a little passive aggression if you beat them in there.
Yeah, get their adrenaline going a little. Get them excited before the show. Sports will get you excited.
Yeah. We'd have to let them win at the games.
When was the last time you played some sports, Charlie?
High school.
Damn, that's been a long time now, hasn't it? You've been out of high school for how long now? 3, 4 years?
Yeah.
That's a while.
I don't really have any interest in sports anymore.
You do, though, and don't realize it. I feel like you need to start playing some racquetball with me. It's very fucking fun, man. Like, it's being competitive in a fun way is fun. You just have to find the right group of people to be competitive with.
I'd rather play a competitive sport than go lifting and shit. So I'd probably rather play racquetball than that. Yeah.
That's the thing I always say. When you play racquetball, it pushes you to run faster. Yeah. Like any sport does. Like if you're just running around in a circle, you get so tired listening to fucking whatever your deja vu of the same song over and over. It's so boring. But when you play a sport, you push yourself hard. Like you want to go get the ball. You're like a fucking lab trying to go get that ball. You're just like, go get it, go get it, go get it. You just want that fucking ball.
Yep.
So playing a sport.
Win too.
Oh shit!
No, I don't.
You don't gotta win. I don't care. It's weird. Some guys up at the gym are so hell bent on winning. They are fucking hell bent on winning.
When I was in baseball, it was probably bad of me to do this, but it was just about having fun.
That's how I was. That's how I still am.
Why are you fucking crying after
the only time, like I do once in a while.
I guess you care about something. That's cool.
Yep, I like to play racquetball and I like to win. Don't get me wrong. I like to push myself, but I'm not gonna cry about losing. I'm not gonna get into it that heavy. And here's the thing: like I'll play. I'm like, and this is probably terrible in a way, and it's why I'll never be a winner at any kind of sport on any grandiose level, and I've never aspired to. It's because I play.
Who of us is really gonna do that?
Exactly.
Like 0.1%?
There's exactly, and my personal way I am is I only play to the level of the person I'm playing against. Like if you came and played racquetball with me, you wouldn't look at me like this faggot's patronizing me either, because that's not what it's about. Like whenever I go play racquetball with someone, like I would play to your level. Like you're a beginner, you wouldn't know how to play very good, so I would lob you the serve lightly. I would never just smoke the ball past you. I would have a couple rules of etiquette for myself. But as I watched your game develop, because you're a young motherfucker, it wouldn't take you long to be keeping up with me. As I watched your game develop and your speed would come along and your coordination would come in, once you started catching on to what was going on, I would have to turn up the volume of my game. You see what I mean? So when I go up there, I can play against, like, the guy that owns the club is a beast. Like, there's no way I can beat him, but I can, like, hang with him and get a point or two, and, like, which is saying a lot, because this guy's like an animal. He's like world champion level, like racquetball dude. He's a little bit older. He's like knocking at 55 or something, but this guy is an animal at racquetball. But I can like hang with him, but I can also go up there and have fun, and I play with like 70-year-old women sometimes up there. There's an old lady up there named Sandy. She's 73 years old. But I swear to God, she would run your ass through the ringer for a while at racquetball because she's got a great shot. She can move really good for being an older lady. And she said she started playing when her kids graduated high school. She was just like, I realized I was slowing down. She said she was like 40. She was like in that spot where her body was kind of starting to ache and pain. And a lot of people tend to say, well, my back hurts. I should not get up today and I should lay around. And that's like the wrong shit to do. The more you lay around as you get older, the worse off you are.
Yeah, I'm fast athletically. That's all I have.
That's why you would be good at racquetball.
Yeah,
and your compact size would be nice. Playing with you would be fun because you don't take up too much space.
Experience with hand-eye coordination.
You'd love racquetball, then. You'd love it. We're going to have to get up there soon and play.
Especially if it's a quicker form of tennis.
And it'd give us more shit to talk about on the show because, I mean, watching your game come along, I think you'd have fun playing it.
Yeah.
I'd like to bring racquetball back a little bit. You know, I was fucking pissed off. I was watching the Olympics not too long ago. There's no racquetball in the Olympics. There's no racquetball in the Olympics. They got some fruit dancing around with a goddamn orb, rolling it around on his body and doing flips on the thing.
Swimming.
Yeah, synchronized swimming. They have the stupidest sports. Racquetball is so much fun. It's so cool. It's fun to watch. It's exciting. Not even in the Olympics.
Maybe it's difficult to have it be entertaining.
It might be. Because sometimes the ball's moving so quick.
Is the crowd going to be over the
They
I wonder
have,
how that
you know,
works in
before, I think one of the
tournaments.
reasons that you might be onto something, I think one of the reasons it wasn't in the Olympics to begin with is exactly what you're saying, because it was inside of a room where
Yeah,
the
how are you
back
gonna
wall
film
was
it?
glass and you could only have maybe 10 people watch the game.
Yeah.
And then there was no room for any more people to watch it. But now they've started building racquetball courts that are clear on all sides so that they can have people sitting on the back, side, left, right, up top. And they got like cameras built into the walls and little cutesy shit like that all over the
Does that make
place.
it more difficult for the players?
It seemed like it would, but I have a feeling that on the inside they put some kind of glare on it or something. Like you
Oh
get
yeah, they have
zoned
to
in though.
address it.
Yep, you get zoned in when you're in there though, Charlie. You'll see when you play racquetball with me, you get a laser focus. Like it puts you in the flow state for
Good way to
sure.
work on your hand-eye coordination
Oh, it
in your
definitely
free
is.
time. No, I'm saying for practice when you're not playing racquetball, is to get a coin and lay in your bed and throw the coin up at the ceiling, and then you have to catch it with one of your hands, not both of them.
Ah,
And
that is a good little
it'll
hand-eye
come at you
coordination thing.
straight sometimes. You can throw it harder, and it'll come at you faster. And then other times it'll go way far away, and you have to reach out for it.
Whoa. You know, when I was a kid, I was
Yeah, I
such a.
got stoned
You
and
made
came
me
up
think
with
of when
that.
I was a silly little boy. You know, one of my favorite things to do with the
Oh, I
pool
have a really good
is
story
like
too.
throw a quarter in the pool and just
Yeah.
like go search for it and
Yeah.
find it, and then I'd
Or
come up,
weights or
take it, and
whatever, yeah,
throw
we
it in
used to do
there,
that.
act like I was Jacques fucking Cousteau or
Yeah,
some
that was
shit. I used
fun.
to be so corny when I was a little kid. Tell us your cool story you remember.
Yeah, my brother and I invented a sport when we were uh,
Oh
in
shit,
like
we're gonna
elementary
have an
school.
invented sports off story. You tell me
Dude,
yours
it was
first, and
I'm
then I'll tell
really
you of the
proud.
sport I invented.
I'm
I was
really
proud
proud
of.
this sport. That it wasn't a dumb idea, like a stupid, like
That's how mine is. I'm proud of my sport.
like
You
it
tell
was
me
an
yours.
idea that came up because we were playing it rather than thinking, oh, like how
That's
kids
how
will
my
say,
sport
"Let's
was
invent a
created.
language," and then they don't do it. We create a sport.
We
But
created a sport too and played it
anyways,
for a
yeah,
whole summer. Tell me
oh,
yours. Tell me yours.
We played it for years over the summer. It was with a tennis ball, and then you need a garage. And most garages have like a small ledge where it's like 6 to 8 inches tall
Yeah, yeah.
that goes up to the roof, and the ledge is 90 degrees going down.
Uh-huh.
So one person has the tennis ball. There's 2 lines. You have to start at the lines, and the person who's basically the server, like in tennis or whatever,
Yeah.
is either gonna try. You have 2 options. You can throw the ball up onto the roof, and you get a point by the ball. You have to either hit the roof or the siding of the garage, so you have to hit the roof and it'll roll down, or you can hit the siding and it'll drop down sometimes really nicely. And you
Mm-hmm.
get a point. And so you throw it, and right as the ball comes out of the thrower's hands, the defender, his job is to stop the ball from hitting the ground. So you're like,
So you have to get it when it comes off the roof.
yep.
So
yeah.
if you get it when it comes off the roof, then there's no point,
No
basically.
point. Yeah.
Ah, see, I knew that. I knew that because I know the nature of
Yeah.
sports.
And it was really cool because there's a lot of it's very, very,
And it's
very
hard to
low.
see sometimes when you got to get close to the roof and then you got to jump because the ball comes and it makes that hop when it first pops off the roof. So that would be fun to try to
A
catch
huge
it.
part of it is the siding. If you can hit the siding, or even the best shot is almost an accident sometime where you hit the bottom of the siding and it just plops down. It almost goes backwards. You can't
Almost
get that.
undefensible.
Yeah, almost undefensible. And then the siding, if you throw it soft, it's defendable, but you throw it just hard enough, it's defendable. And then probably the third best shot is just a quick 1 or 2 bounces on the edge of the roof.
Because
So
it'll
it's
shank
not
and veer in a
rolling
weird way.
It doesn't veer too much, but it's just that it's just enough time for it to get down or for a mistake to be made. But it's not. It's awesome because it's not like a athleticism game at all. Because there's only about 5 to 10 square feet space of it. It's all about finessing that
Right.
tennis ball.
It's like
so fun.
pickleball.
I want to play it next time.
We'll have to.
The winter's gone.
Here's
The
my
winter's gone.
sport.
We'll
We're going
it
to
on
play
our
my
court.
sport. I'm going to bring my sport to the world. Here's my sport that we invented. Like, I had the biggest part in inventing this, but I have to say it was kind of a group effort. We
Where's
all
my
worked on
brother
it
and I for this
together.
one?
And the rules kind of developed as we played it. But here's what we did. We used to kick hacky sack a bunch. You know what hacky sack is, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't really play any sport when you play hacky sack. Sometimes you play where the person that fucks up gets pelted. Sometimes you play where you, like, you try to hit it 3 times and then kick it to someone, and if it hits their body and they can't kick it, then you get to pelt them. Most games are based on like hitting each other with a hacky sack, which is fucking kind of being an asshole. And we got tired of hitting each other with a hacky sack because a lot of
Isn't
times,
that like the opposite of the hacky sack movement?
yeah, the hacky
That's like
sack movement is
complete
supposed to be
opposite.
peaceful.
Yeah, it's supposed
But
to be
in
smoking
prison,
weed
everyone's
in
an
a
asshole. We used to beat
college
the fuck
dorm.
out of each other. Like when it was your birthday, I'm not even making this shit up. Almost every single birthday I had, except till the end of my bit, when I got down to the lower level and there wasn't like as close of bonds. Like when you're in the higher level in prison, like there's a tight bond between motherfuckers.
Time.
Yeah, and it's life or death lots of times because there's people at your ass. Because there's people in them higher levels that are like, I'm going to get you one of these fucking days. I'm going to find you in a blind spot and I'm going to stab you to death. And it's like you
So
have,
it's higher stakes.
yeah, you
gotta fight or
constantly
flight.
have at least a little bit of a threat of some shit going down, you know? So like your homeboys are way more your homeboys. We're in the lower level. Yeah, we steal some cheese from the chow hall together, you know, whatever. We smoked a joint once in a while by the handball court. But, you know, it's not like in the higher level where it's like, hey, go hide this knife for me. I just did some dumb shit. So, like, there's much different level of camaraderie between higher level and lower level inmates. So, in the higher level, I'm just saying, it was a tighter thing. I don't even remember why I started telling you about that. I was telling you about the sport I invented. I wanted to finish telling you that. Anyhow, it was me and a group of friends. We were playing hacky sack. Oh, because we used to beat each other up. I was telling you about birthdays. So, every one of my birthdays, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, just keep going right through them. Every one of them, I got held down, and you're supposed to get, like, punched in your leg 20 times or whatever. But it's bullshit. They would just hold you down and punch you 1,000 times, call it 20 times. Your legs would be bruised to fuck. You'd be limping around for 4 or 5 days. Everyone would be laughing about it. But you would have fun with it. Like, when people would laugh about it, you would laugh about it. Like, we used to do weird shit. Like, we'd bet each other shit. Like, we'd gamble on football. Besides money, we'd bet shit like, okay, I'll bet on the Packers, and if they win, you owe me 20 push-ups, but I get to call for them. Every time I snap my fingers, you have to say, how many push-ups would you like, Big Daddy? And I can say 2, and then when you do the push-up, every time you do a push-up, you say, 1 push-up, Big Daddy, 2 push-up, Big Daddy. So that's how the lifestyle is in there. So see what I'm saying? Yeah. Prison has its fucked up parts, but your homeboys is what makes it terrible. It makes it tolerable.
Being with friends is fucked up.
Yeah, because you make your group of friends where you like have that shit.
With a group of people, I think any friend group.
If you're not group,
in a good way.
Yep. If you're not comfortable with that type of camaraderie, you're not cool with prison. And that's one of the reasons I think people fuck up when they get out, where they're ashamed to even talk about it. It's not like they're trying to go back to prison, but they get out and they're going to work. They're coming home and watching TV. They're going home. They're coming home. They don't have that group of buddies. They don't have that shit going on all the time. And it's not that they want to get in trouble, but they miss that camaraderie. And I've noticed the same thing out of people that get out of the military. Like I was talking to Gravy, young Dave Graves. I feel like that's the thing that me and him share a bond with and we have in common is that I
think the similar thing is you're living with these people.
Yeah, you live in a life or death situation with some people and you get tight with them and you miss it. When you get out, you get like a postpartum almost where you're like, man, I miss that. But then right behind that, you get a guilt because you feel that guilt. And you're like, God, I shouldn't feel guilty that I'm not in prison. What the fuck is wrong with me? You see what I'm saying?
And it's not only a friendship bond in both of those situations, but it's a bond where you're with a group of people who's trying to not have the other people die, basically.
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to keep each other alive, trying to keep each other going. Exactly.
That's probably why. That's interesting. I've never thought of that.
Yeah, so it's like, I got cut off there a little bit, but it's like a fucking, the bond you build in there is fucking tight. So anyhow, I want to get back to the sport before I forget ultimately what I'm talking about. We made a sport together, and what the sport was is it was hacky sack, and we took the pelt and the shit out of it, and we decided, let's make a sport out of this. Well, we played volleyball and stuff, so we thought, let's cross hacky sack with volleyball. So there was a section of fence, like they had a short, like 3-foot tall fence, 4-foot tall fence, like a regular size fence inside the yard, and it went around the softball diamond. And it was the home run fence and the inside the softball diamond fence. And then on the outside of it was the other track and the handball court. And there was more yard over there, so you could be on both sides of the little fence. Well, it was also a good place to hide a knife, because if you stabbed a knife by that fence, when they would look on the yard with a metal detector, yeah, exactly. But anyhow, the fence had segments, and it had like a little plastic guard on the top, so it didn't have the wires poking, so you wouldn't get stabbed up top. You know what kind I'm talking about, like the half a piece of plastic. Yeah. Well, anyhow, we stood on opposite sides of the fence, and we would hacky sack over the fence like a volleyball rule. and we made it like a thing where I think we took out the number of hits where you didn't have to only hit it 3 times. You could hit it as many times as you wanted before you passed it over the thing.
Like hacky sack.
Yeah, so that it's more like hacky sack. We didn't want to have 3 hits because then you don't have time to do a trick.
Bullshit.
And then we made a really cool rule later in the game where if you kicked it over the fence with a trick, like a Pepsi or like a jester where you like reach behind your leg like that and kick behind your leg, or like if you flip it with your toe, like a toe flip, or like if you did some kind of like notable trick to send it over the fence, then you had to like the returning team had to kick it enough times and get it under control and then return it using the same trick. And so, like, a lot of times, like, people would be kicking it, and it's all you can do to keep it in the air because you're not getting it under control, so you just end up sending it over the fence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, then all they have to do is either send it back, or now it's their turn to, like, get control of the ball, so to speak, and perform a trick. Like a stolly or a little half jester or whatever, kind of a rainbow, some kind of trick, a notable trick. Because, there's kicking the hacky sack, and then there's, like, a couple actual tricks. And when, it's hard to talk about tricks on the fucking radio here, so we're not going to do it. But it was a kind of cool sport that we invented together. It's funny that we both have sports we've invented in life. I'm pretty sure I've invented more than that one, but that's the most notable one. We had a lot of fun playing that together.
Yeah, sounds fun.
The reason we only played it for like a year, too, is because people dissipate in there. You get rode out, and you end up in different places, and you have different people around you, and it's hard to explain, but it was the summer of people getting transferred.
It was only my brother and I playing it, so we'd play every summer. I don't know if we played with anyone else.
That's funny.
Because it's a two-person sport.
Sometimes it's hard to get the joy of that two people. Like, sometimes when you're, like, bonding with a person like that and doing weird little, like, I almost call it gay, but it's not gay. But you know what I'm saying? Like, just little fun shit with two, like, the bromance thing, even if it's with your brother. Like, it's hard to explain to people that weird zone you get in.
Yeah.
It's like a dual flow state. It really is, because time is just flying by.
Awesome.
Because you can be in flow by yourself. I feel like you can really be in the zone, like writing some shit or doing some work
really
or whatever.
With someone, though, get into the flow with them,
You
it's
can,
easy
especially if it's a sport. If it's a sport-related thing, it helps take some of the conversation out.
Yeah, thinking sport.
Yeah.
Finesse sport.
Yeah.
And if we played with anyone else, I don't think it would be as fun because we had already gotten our, they wouldn't. I don't think anyone would have been.
Yeah.
We would have to play down.
It would definitely depend on the person too. The dynamic can be crazy. Like if the person comes in as a dickhead, like the person has to come in, recognize the relationship, and adhere to the already current rules. Like some people come in and they're like, okay, these two people are good friends, but I want to be a friend with that. And, they like butt in.
Civilized with my brother and I. Would never get mad or.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like somebody could show up and take it too serious, or hey, you guys want to bet some money, or just take the fun out of it.
Yeah, those 12th graders or those 8th graders are always betting.
Those 8th graders always gambling.
I have a few friends that probably would have done that.
When people talk about going back in time, if I could go back in time, the one thing that would be fucking dope as a motherfucker is like if I could take my little prison knowledge back through my high school and middle school and fuck it, even grade school years, I probably could walk out of high school a millionaire. Because the hustler's ambition that you learn when you're in prison. Like I learned everything from washing a motherfucker's tennis shoes for $4 to selling quarter packs of cigarettes. You know what I mean? Sacking up little bags of weed.
I think anyone with that time.
All that shit,
if you're doing.
When you're in high school and middle school, you have like a captive, not captive, but you have a group of people that you can like hustle and like, pander to get money out of on a grand scale that I never realized when I was there. Like, I never appreciated that as much as I should have. I mean, like, I was a hustler in high school a few times. Like, I sold weed and shit off and on, did little shit like that. But I never, like, really appreciated the fact that I had a huge captive market. Like, I could have been selling Gucci handbags or some shit is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, once I went to prison and realized that there's, like, gambling, there's sports, there's all kinds of shit. Like just how much the kids in high school were interested in sports. If I could have broke down a real simple little ticket for them so that like they could understand it and make it, so it's less complicated with the line and everything, people would have gambled like a motherfucker. I'm sure of it. They had to take in a few bucks of their lunch money and bet it if you would have made it available to them. Have you ever played the football squares where they have the little 100 squares? Have you ever played one of those?
Super Bowl. You
put your initials in the square and you try to get on every quarter when the points come up.
Money on that, actually.
You've
just
hit a
for
quarter
having fun.
before, or you hit a couple
Yeah.
quarters?
I think it was a pretty. It
Pretty.
was like $500 or something.
Oh, it was like dollar
And I never
squares.
gambled. That was when I was like probably seventh
So if
grade.
it was
I just got one
$500, it was probably $5 squares or
'cause we'd get 'em
$1
for the
squares.
we'd
Do you
get 'em for
remember?
the. I don't remember. We'd get 'em for the Super Bowl, and my brother and I would both just get to pick a square every once in a while.
Did you guys run them, or were you guys playing someone else's?
Not sure. Don't remember.
Running them's a pain in the ass. In
I
the
don't
joint,
think, no, we weren't running because there's a bunch of.
I don't know how you'd run them in the world. I'm sure I could come up with a plan, but in prison, this is how you run it. I'm gonna break it down for you. I'm gonna throw this out there, like because I used to run the square thing. This could be like little prison, little flashback. But here's the thing: you make up the grid, so it's 10 by 10, like a grid paper, and then it's 100 squares there. So it covers every combination of numbers: 01, 02, 03, 11, 11, 12, 13. Like it covers every two combination of numbers when you do a grid pattern like that, as long as one side of the grid is 0 through 10 and the other side of the grid is 0 through 10. Well, you don't put the numbers on the grid, because if you were allowed to buy the number you wanted, you'd buy 00, 07, 77. Like you would know which numbers to buy, and you could buy 4 or 5 choice ones and have a real good chance of hitting. So you don't like pre-number the squares. You like pass the board around blank with no numbers on it and let people sign the squares. And then once all the squares are sold, or however many you're going to sell, because you can play some yourself, however many of the squares are filled with people you know's initials, because you let them buy as many as they want for, a buck a piece or a quarter a piece or whatever the price is. And then, so let's just say it's a buck a piece. That was kind of a common prison thing. Really, a quarter a piece was more common, but a buck a piece is easier math. So, like, you sell the squares for a buck a piece. You go fill the board up, and you got $100 now because you took $1 for every square and you filled it up. Well, now you have to, like, establish everyone's number. So you go and get, like, 3 or 4 of the people that played, like, more numbers, and you say, hey, you guys come to the day room so you guys can watch me do this and know it's legit. No, I'm not, like, setting shit up. And I'm going to take cards, and you would take ace through 10 of red cards, ace through 10 of black cards, and you would like shuffle them together, mix them up real good, and like spread them around on the table. And then you'd let the people that played the board take turns drawing the cards. And if it was red, it would go on top, or black would go on the side, or vice versa. And so like someone would draw a card. I mean, it wouldn't even matter that people were drawing them, but I just let them draw them so they could see everyone's involved, and like it helped with the credibility of it, having the people that were playing it participate and putting the numbers on. So anyhow, they would draw the numbers, each number at a time, and I'd put them on the board, 1 through 10 on the top, 1 through 10 on the bottom, and they would be real randomized by people picking them. And then I'd have to go through and find, like, Charlie wrote, his initials is, CS. So I have to go find every CS that has this style of handwriting on the board, find its number, and then go to Charlie and say, here's your numbers. These are the 4 you bought. You got 07. That's a good one. Oh, you got 9, 8. Oh, that's a shitty one. When's the score ever going to be 19 to 18 or something? Not very often. But 07, it might be that. But I'd give you, like, your 4 numbers. Now you got your numbers. Now you watch the game, and every quarter, the score is something to something. You take the last number and the last number, and the way it is on the TV, the home team is always on the bottom. So you'd use it just like it reads on the TV. So if the number says 07 at the quarter, then the first quarter, whoever has 07 wins. At halftime, if the score is 10 to 10, whoever has 00 wins. Third quarter, same thing. Fourth quarter, same thing. So there's 4 winners for every football game. And you collected $1 a square. Now, the amount they win isn't 25% of the pot. It's 20. That's where you make your money. So every person, if they paid $1, if they win, they get 20, because it's paying 20 to 1. And then that extra $20 that's left over is yours for running the thing. See how that works?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you could pay 4 to 1, basically. You could pay $25 to each person, but then you wouldn't get shit for running it. And it's a lot of work, going around and getting everyone to sign it, drawing the numbers and all that. So what I used to do pretty much is I would sign an X right in the middle of the board from corner to corner, and that's 20 squares right off the rip. So I'd take my 20, and then I would go fill the board. And instead of even like getting money for doing it, I would buy 20 of the squares, and then it made it easier because I only have to sell 80 squares now. But you see what I'm saying? If I could take that hustler's ambition, Charlie, and go through high school with that shit, whoo, I'd step out of that motherfucker not even thinking about going to college, unless it was to hustle.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's not the way. We can't time machine back and hustle people. And I wouldn't hustle people like that right now. in the adult world, it's way harder to hustle.
I think with time travel too, you get the other side of it too, the difficulties of it that people don't think of.
There would be a lot of difficulties.
I'm sure there's things I can't think of or we can't think of right now that would be difficult.
Well, there's 101 paradoxes that could come up.
You go too far away, and you know, Nate Bargatze, a comedian, he has a really funny bit about time traveling. How if he went time traveling and he went back to like the 1920s, like he wouldn't be rich like everyone would think. He wouldn't become rich. He said that he'd be worse off than he is now if he time traveled back to the 20s, because you can't explain how electricity works. You can't.
Yeah,
like,
you would look like a madman basically.
Yeah,
You'd be telling them about all this stuff. Yeah, there's little phones and we can
But
talk to
I
each
don't know
other.
I don't know how it works.
They'd be like, "Yeah, you're a fucking
I
retard.
have no idea how it works.
Yep, you're not from nowhere. Yeah, exactly. You would not be better off.
Yeah.
You couldn't figure any shit
Be
off.
more
and go,
difficult. That is so
Yeah.
true. One of my favorite bits.
If you could take material possessions back with you, you could take like a gun back and rule in Mongolian times or something. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot
still
of.
be complications.
You know, one of the biggest things I think is like, sometimes you try and fail in life and you get frustrated and you're pissed off. What if you went through all the trouble of time traveling to go back and tell your young self some information, and then you got back to the future just to find out you were the same motherfucker with the same memories, and your young person just dicked that information off?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty devastating. That'd be a
Well,
pretty
you
big
time
fail.
traveled.
It'd be a pretty big fail.
I don't think you can time travel and fail.
Then you
Time
just do it
traveled.
again. Just keep doing it till you get it
You've
right.
succeeded at time traveling.
Then you've already
You've
won.
time traveled. Yeah, you've won.
I think
At this point,
I think the biggest argument against time travel is that the fact there's no time travelers here already, because they would have already invented the
there's
machine
no evidence
in the future and came back to now or something, if it was possible. If it was
Yeah.
possible, time would work in a way where the future already existed, kind of,
Yeah.
because you'd be able to go into the future as well, so it must already exist. And if it did, that means the machine would already exist, and if it did, they'd already come back and fuck things up. I don't know. Have you ever heard the simulation theory? Have you ever heard that
Yeah.
broke down?
Yeah.
Isn't that fucking convincing?
Yeah.
You're like, there is a good chance this is all just a simulation.
I've
glitch,
gone down
glitch.
multiple loopholes reading and listening about that.
Isn't that some deep,
It's
scary
fun to
shit in a
listen
way?
to.
It is
It's
fun
not
to
really
listen to,
it's
people.
not that scary to me that much. Just like being in the middle of this huge universe isn't scary. It's pretty awesome.
It is pretty
to
cool.
me.
It's kind of cool. It's not scary. I guess scary is the wrong word. Vast is more the word I'm looking for when you really start to look at that kind of stuff. It's big.
And deathly. So yeah. it
Things
could
are
be scary.
huge.
Things are dying. Things are trying to survive. So yeah, it is scary.
Yeah, things are
on the other
constantly
side
dying.
of it's fucking awesome
Yeah,
to me.
bizarre,
It's probably just ignorance is bliss kind of thing, but
probably. When we die, it'll be terrible, and we'll be like, son of a bitch. I heard a good saying the other day, speaking of dying, and this is something about being alive, though. It has nothing to do with death. But before you die, Charlie, you should live your life with this knowledge in your mind. The gates of hell are locked from the inside.
oh yeah, you said that.
Isn't that some deep shit, man?
Yeah.
I like that. That's some deep shit. That's been stuck in my head since I heard it. I was like, that is the most truest, simplest shit I've ever heard.
It's true. The most simple things sometimes.
The most simple things.
You can break something down like that.
Oh, I got the information. I got to tell these people the information. Some hellish information. We were talking about witches last time on Man Sharpens Man. We're talking about witches. All of a sudden, we find a Ouija board today, and we're just looking at it out of the blue, just checking it out, staring at the Ouija board. We weren't doing any witchy shit or doing any Ouija shit. We were just looking at it, and it turns out that Ouija boards, people, this is huge, are made in Salem, Massachusetts, where they burn
Yeah.
witches at.
1692.
Isn't that weird? They make them there. I can't believe they made Ouija boards there, Charlie. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
See, the universe has some weird shit going on in it once in a while. See, that's proof of the simulation right there, I think.
Yeah. We did a reading of the Salem, the witch trial plays in high school. It was really fun. So that's like simulation theory too.
It is
It's crazy.
crazy. Stimulation theory.
That was a good play though to read.
Was it?
cool.
We need to do
Yeah.
some plays and shit, Charlie. I need to try my acting bone out.
The Witch was a really good movie about witches, about how that was realistic back in the day.
The Witcher
You
was
wanna-
a fun video game.
Heard of it, never played it.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with witches.
The Witch was really good. It did have to do with the witch.
Did it?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the Salem Witch Project? Oh no, not the Salem, the Blair Witch Project. What the
Yeah.
fuck is wrong with me? Once in a while, I need like a swift, just a slap or something. What the fuck, the Salem Witch Project?
Yeah, it was
The Blair
impressive
Witch
looking
Project.
from the outside, but watching the movie, I was somewhat entertained, but I don't think I'd watch it again.
Jesus, there was parts in it that just made me want to just be pissed. I mean, the end of it where the
I was
guy was
probably
in
too
the
young to
corner,
think that.
was he hanging in the corner or standing in the corner?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
probably
You
remem-
couldn't even tell. It was stupid. Had a horrible ending.
It's pretty cool though that they made
It was
a
a
movie
cool
on
premise.
those means. Yeah.
Yeah, they came up with a totally unique idea.
Cool
I will
way
give
of
them that.
creation. I think sometimes you can admire the way and the quality of it, even if you don't like it.
Yeah. Well, I did like it. I can't lie. I liked it some. I liked it some.
I like when the witch ruffled the tent. I think I remember that.
Yeah, and scared the shit
That was
out of
scary
her.
and cool. Yeah, that
And
was a
she's
fun
like
part.
recording herself and her nose is running and
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, that scene
And
was
the
big.
interviews. I actually might watch that again. Maybe I'll like it more.
You probably would
next
like
time.
the art of it now that you're more
Yeah.
into like creating shit.
Yeah, now that I understand more.
Yeah.
and- yeah.
Sometimes I'm afraid of pulling the curtain back too much because it's already getting to the point where a lot of media and entertainment just doesn't get it for me no more. Where I'm like,
Well, I
it's
think
not-
you have to, even if you don't enjoy it, if you're a
Yeah.
part of it.
yeah, you got to a little bit. I'm ready for it. I'm
Even
ready.
the shit you don't enjoy.
I fucking love doing comedy, Charlie. I can't even
Yeah,
tell
me
you how much
too.
I love it. It's fucking shit. Comedy, it's the shit.
Yeah, I wrote down all the stuff. This might be a little vain of me, but I wrote down all the stuff I've accomplished this year, and I'm really proud of it.
I don't feel like that's even a tiny bit vain. I don't even feel like that's even the tiniest bit vain.
Maybe. I don't know.
Not even a little bit. You know, one of the things I
Feels
did
braggy,
recently, I
but I'm
bought
proud.
I
got
bought a
list.
planner, and when I bought this personal planner, it made me feel like shit at first, which it shouldn't have, but it did a little bit. Like I felt, oh, I don't really need a personal planner. I'm not that important. All that bullshit. I've never had one before. This is something I don't really deserve.
Yeah.
But I bought it. It was like a $15 little bullshit thing. But then I got to write all my little comedy dates in it that I got coming up, and it's
Yeah.
like it fucking feels
Writing
good,
shit
man.
down is important.
Yeah, it feels
That's
good to have
huge
that
for
shit
me.
coming up. It's like if you don't do that and don't pretend like it's important, then it isn't. So
Yeah, I write what I've done. I've said this before, but I write down what I've done and what my goals are to do.
it
Kinda
don't
on the
matter if
same
you repeat
page.
yourself once in a while. But I know what you're
Yeah.
saying. You have
I
said that
think that's
before, but it's
important
good
to
advice.
repeat.
It's good advice to give to people.
To
You
have
know
them
how
on
much
that.
it meant to you when you found that advice out,
Yeah.
right?
To have
Like
them
you
on
didn't
the
just think
same-
of that on your own. Someone told you that, or you heard that, or
I heard variations.
something
of that,
inspired you
over time,
exactly,
yeah.
and you felt good when you thought it. You're like, yes, this
Yeah.
is something. So
It's awesome learning about stuff through a bunch of different sources and kind of putting those together into your own way.
one
you
of the
think you're
weird
doing it
universal
correctly.
truths that's always true, Charlie, and this is something I found through life, is you help yourself the most when you're helping other people. It's weird
Yeah.
as fuck, but you do. You help yourself the most when you're helping other people out. Like, even if you're an asshole, just
Yeah.
help some other people out once in a while, and you'll be like, how the fuck did that work out? But you will all of a sudden find some money, or you'll find a job or something.
That
It's
happened
just
to me,
weird.
Actually.
Yeah, it's
It's been really satisfying to help out Matt Georgevich from the Sioux with his comedy stuff.
yeah, and look at how
And
much
helping 'em
more
out
in
and
depth
getting
it's
'em in
made you
here,
pursue
yeah.
comedy. It makes you put
Yeah.
your hand into the ring more.
I got him his first paid 5-minute show because of booking that Studio Anatomy show.
Hell
And
yeah.
a few days later, I got booked for a show I'm excited about on New Year's Eve.
Exactly, and that's how it all works out.
Karma.
That's how it
was
works.
awesome.
That's it. Just it's not even karma.
I
It's
wasn't
just
really thinking about it.
it's just rubbing the right the
Yeah.
right string. You get the right note in this universe.
Yeah.
If you're plucking the right notes in the universe, then you get a song. If you're plucking the wrong ones, you got a bunch of noise and racket, and you can't think straight. But the biggest string you got to pluck is when you're helping other people like that. Like, you don't
Yeah.
need to go out and suck someone's dick or something, but you know what I'm saying? Like, help people out.
Yeah. You
Do
can
a
if
little
you
bit
want,
for your
though.
neighbors. Like, you know what I did on
Mhm.
Christmas? It was fucking 1 degree. I'm gonna rub my own back a little bit, but it was 1 degree outside, cold as shit. We got like 5 or 6 inches of snow. Now, to be honest, I have a fucking really nice snow blower. I'm very blessed. I have a little tractor I can drive in
Yeah,
it,
we
and it
do
blows
too.
the
We have
snow.
to
It's fucking
when I
pretty
drive.
nice. But I have a bunch of neighbors on my road that they use a variation from shoveling to walk behind blower, but none of them have a little tractor with a blower on it because they all have much smaller driveways primarily. But
Mhm.
I got up early on Christmas and went and snow blowed everyone on the road's driveway.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you know what? Now I know my neighbors better. I can talk to them better. It's not the first time I've done this shit. All my neighbors, they know me. But you know what I'm saying? Just doing shit like that, it helps me.
Yeah, and I think the karma thing is in the subconscious too, because if you do something and you have that, not even if it's not in your mind, that you've done something good. It's almost like when you do something, I think you condition yourself to think, oh, I've done something good, so I'm in the good vibration right now.
Well, here's the
So
big
other good things are going to attract towards that almost. Not to get too new
exactly.
agey, but that's
Exactly. The thought is,
my way
I
of
know exactly what you're
explaining.
getting at. Here's the thought: is it's like when you help others, when you do stuff for the greater good of just humanity, when you go work at the pet shelter, when you snowblow your neighbors, when you do any of that kind of shit, it isn't necessarily karma as far as the universe cosmically reaching down and handing you a prize because you just did something good. I think what you're saying and what you're trying to get at is the same thought I have. It's almost like you now can go do something. Like now you can go eat a giant piece of cake and you feel like you deserve it now because you earned it and you don't feel the guilt. Like sometimes when you do something that's self indulgent, you will feel guilt for it. Lots of
Hmm.
times. You do something that's very self serving or self indulgent.
And then it comes out in the opposite way.
Yeah,
In the
and then it's
subconscious.
negative and
Yeah.
it's bad and you feel guilty for doing it and you don't enjoy it
Yeah.
whatsoever. But when you've paid your dues in life and you've actually put your best foot forward and you've tried to help people and you can honestly in your mind be like, "Man, I'm doing the best I can." Then when you go get yourself a $7 coffee or then when you fucking whatever you wanted, whatever you spoil yourself with, when you do that thing, you don't have the same feelings of guilt and then that good feeling of happiness of I've just done something good, it becomes like a positive flow state almost
Yeah.
like a harmonic happy flow
Yeah.
where it's like I've helped people and now the self-indulgent things I do for myself I can feel happy and positive about instead
Yeah.
of being like, oh, I'm a piece of shit, I shouldn't have done that, oh, I shouldn't have just did that. I really think that's a big part of it is you're giving yourself permission to be happy when
Yeah.
you've helped
Yeah.
someone else be happy.
Even if you don't know it, when you're doing good things like that, you're giving yourself permission to be good in a good state. I think the idea of karma isn't in like karma's in the universe, or that
Yeah,
I even believe in
it's in
karma
your
like
own
that.
brain, it's
Yeah,
your own
karma
life.
is more like you and the universe as one thing. But yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah, well, you're definitely the universe you create.
yeah, and we
You
can't
create the
go
universe
anywhere
you
other
live
than
in.
we can only go as far as where we are in our own minds.
That's it. You're stuck.
It's
Here
pretty
you are.
awesome.
Be here now. It's the best thing. They call it cosmic time. I don't know if you knew that, but they
No,
say there's
never
like
heard
real
that.
time, like there's human time where there's like tomorrow, tonight you're going to have to brush your teeth, tomorrow you got to go to work. That's like human time. Cosmic
Clock
time
time. Yeah.
is this, the right now. This is this moment. This is the only thing there is. When you're living that kind of time, when you can drop into that moment, like right now, I feel like I'm in the moment. But when
Yeah.
you drop into that moment, that's a lot of people like you talk a bunch of spiritual shit. You know, the spiritual guru type people will call that cosmic time. I've
Hmm.
always thought that was a cool phrase.
Yeah, it is.
Be here now, get into the cosmic time,
It's
motherfuckers.
timeless. Yeah, when you're in the flow,
Speaking
you're
of
not
time, you know what
thinking of
time it is?
time.
Old joke time, Charlie. I just
Oh,
thought of the
okay.
old joke.
Okay.
This one comes from my vet. My vet told me this joke. I think I might have told you this one on the DL not too long ago,
Yeah.
but I'm still going to hit the show with it. So there's this lady. She's working in her garden. She's digging up a couple things. All of a sudden, her fucking pretty big collie, she's got a big collie dog, comes out of nowhere, jumps up on her, tries to mount her, and he's trying to hump her, and he like scratches the shit out of her, almost knocks her down. It's a fucking terrible thing. So she gets up, she's all disheveled, and she calls her vet. She says, "Hey, I need to set up an appointment." Blah blah blah. She tells him what happened. So anyhow, she gets the appointment. She goes into the vet, and she's sitting there with her dog waiting. Well, another older, 40, 50-year-old woman comes in, and she has a pretty good sized dog too, and she sits down. Well, they get to chit chatting while they're both waiting. The receptionist has already checked them in, and they're both waiting. They're chit chatting, and the lady that walks in says, "What are you here for?" And the lady that's sitting there says, "Oh, I'm here." And she tells her, she says, "I was in my garden, and the dog knocked me over, and he tried to hump me, and he scratched me real bad. So I'm here. I'm going to get him fixed, so he won't do that anymore." And the lady that just came in, she says, "Oh, really? That's funny. My dog knocked me over in the garden and tried to hump me too." And she's like, "Really? That's weird. So you're here to get your dog fixed too?" And she says, "No, no, I'm just here to get mine's nails cut." She wanted it. It's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Last week we did a show, a couple days ago we did a show about women's rights, and now I'm talking about bestiality. It's terrible. I should have done the joke with men. No, but my vet told me that joke. Isn't that fucking crazy?
Yeah, that's good.
My
That's a good
vet's
vet.
fucking such a trip. I used to work at Subway. I was working at Subway as like a punishment in life because I had gotten in trouble. I gotten caught with a couple pounds of weed. Woo, terrible. I didn't feel very bad about it, to be honest. But I was coming back
Bullshit.
from Detroit. I got busted in Bay City with a couple pounds of weed, and I was on probation. So I had to get like an on-the-books job because I couldn't be self-employed anymore. I could have been, but like your probation officer, like he doesn't want to hear that shit. That I'm out like, oh, I did some power washing. Oh, I put a roof on. Oh, I did a comedy thing. Like he doesn't want to hear that shit. He wants a job.
Yeah.
He wants paycheck stubs, and I know that, and I know they give you less grief. So right when I got in trouble for that little case, I went and got a job at Subway, and it was terrible. When you work at a fucking place and people walk in and they go, "Do you own this place?" and they mean it, that means you got a shitty job. That's the worst job you can have. When you're that big of a loser that you shouldn't be working there, you should either be owning it at that age or not working there. That's definitely the age I was at, where it's just like, this is degrading. But I made the best of it. I actually seen one of my old customers today at Walmart and kicked it with her a little bit. It was kind of cool. But what the fuck was I even telling you about? Man, I'm such a stoner. That's why I keep you here, Charlie. You're like a place marker. Oh, I was telling you about getting in trouble and working at Subway for some reason, though. I don't even remember. Fucking boop. Gone like that. People listening are like, we know why. It was 1 second ago, you fuckhead. Yeah. Oh, it'll come back to me. Trust me. It'll seep back in. Yeah. I started telling you about the vet, and I told you about the joke. Oh, I was going to tell you how I met the vet. Because I was working at that damn Subway, and like I was making the best of it, so when people would come in, I wasn't like working my stand-up routine or no shit, but I would definitely crack jokes. Like pretty much every person that came in could guarantee while I was making their sub, I was also going to be spitting on it and talking a bunch of shit. Not like literally spitting on it, but you know when you talk, a little spit comes out. Yeah, spitting some rhymes for my people at Subway because they need it. Because I got a chub. Hey, that was a terrible rhyme. That was a terrible rhyme, Charlie. I'm sorry for that. Horrible. Most of the time. Yeah, we're normally better rhymers than that.
Yeah.
Chicka, me and Charlie in the hizzy. We got a thing. Now we get busy. Too many people have rhymed hizzy and busy. Eventually I could rap. I told you would like our fucking sound effects. One, and then there's a moan too. We got a. You're with Weasel and Teaser in the morning. It was so bad. My fucking nephew come over, and I'm playing with my new keyboard with him, and he thinks it's the shit. He puts the sound effect on. He finds the one erotic moan and just is beating the fuck out of it. I catch him in the bedroom. I leave, and I let him play with it, and he's just playing like tinky-tonky sounds, but he knows where the moan is. I leave, I go get a pop, I do my laundry little thing, I come back in the bedroom, and I can hear it as I'm coming down the hall. He's just in there like, yeah, hitting the button over and over and over. I'm like, you little fucking pervert.
That's a musician.
That's a musician. He reminds me so much of myself when I was a kid. I'm just like, gee, he's in it for the poon. He's just in it for the poon. He found the poon noise, he's sticking with it. Oh, he doesn't even, it's like jerking off to When Harry Met Sally almost. I can pull one to the restaurant scene. She sounds like I don't care if it's fake, she's good at faking it. That's how you know you're hard up, when you're willing to wank to When Harry Met Sally. Just the audio. I can pull it to the audio.
Or any normal movie.
I think I once did jack off to the sound of a washing machine. I thought I had my brother was hanging out with me, and he brought this hot chick home, and I thought he was banging her, but it was actually the washing machine that got me all horny, and I whacked off, and then I realized he was sound asleep, and so was she, and the washing machine was the thing I heard wobbling. So I kind of had jerked off to a washing machine once in my life. Full disclosure, people.
Audio is probably
we get deep here on Man Sharpens Man, don't we?
Yeah, audio is probably a bigger thing than we realize.
It's a huge part of sex for people, I think.
And just life. I didn't realize until just now that we rely completely on audio for this. And
Hell
video
yeah.
soon.
Video soon, but it's one of the reasons doing podcasting helps you with your comedy so much is because it learns you how to paint a picture with nothing but your words. Because if you're not telling people the right shit, like when you were describing your sport, if you weren't describing that shit in the right way, people would be like, what the fuck is he talking about? But the way you described it, like I can see the picture of you throwing the ball and it rolls down the roof and it does the little hop, and it's always hard to catch because you never can fully anticipate when a ball's coming off a roof.
Yeah.
You want to hear one of the funniest things?
Or a coin off a ceiling.
You made me think of some funny shit with the roof sports. I got to tell you this before we finish up the show.
Okay.
When I first met Chris, my wife, it was kind of cool because she's older than me by like 10 years, and her kids are 10 years younger than me. So like her kids aren't very much younger than me, and she's not very much older than me. So it's kind of like I'm like the generational gap splitter there,
Yeah,
where
it's
it's
a good
kind of cool.
balance.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of a fucking cool setup. So like her son is like my dog. Like we're not that much apart, you know. Like I'm pretty immature, and that makes it so we hang out good. And when I met her, he was a teenager, so me and him have always hung out like frickin' frack. And like when I
Mhm.
first met her, like we were cool, but we definitely weren't married yet. We were still boyfriend and girlfriend, and this shit got her a little bit like going for a minute. But she, like, this is one of the things that made her like be like, okay, this is John, this is who he is, whatever. But she came home, and Brendan was on the roof of the trailer that we were renting because I had like met her and we shacked up together and we were renting a trailer. He was on the roof of the trailer, and me and two of his friends were on the ground. Well, actually, me and one of his friends were on the ground, and another one of his friends was on top of my pickup truck.
Mhm.
And so we were trying to get a multi-level hacky sack circle going. So the two got me and another guy on the ground would kick it, and then we'd hit it up to the guy in the truck, who would then hit it up to Brendan on the house, and he would try to get a couple kicks and then send it down to the ground. So we were trying to get like a multi-level hacky
Yeah.
sack going. And Chris pulled up, and she was like coming down the little slow road, and she pulled up, and she's, what in the hell? Because her son was like 15 or 16 at the time, or 7. Like he was like 16, I think. But still, he was like young enough where she was still kind of mama birding him and being protective. And she's like, why the fuck you got my kid on the roof kicking in a hacky sack? He's going to run off the edge and die. It's like, no, he's good. This is building character in the boy. He's learning cool shit.
Sounds like Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, we
or
used to be
something.
such trailer park boys. We got a potato gun one time, and we lived in like a mini trailer park, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, I took the potato gun, and I found a fluorescent light bulb. And the fluorescent light bulb slid down the barrel, but like about 2 or 3 inches
Oh,
stayed
one of those
sticking.
launchers.
Yeah, potato
We
gun
made one
launcher
of
where you
those.
put
Yeah, those are
ethanol in it. You
so
put
fun.
starter fluid in it,
Yeah,
and
you
it had like a
fucking
little
hurt
sparker.
someone with those.
Yeah, and you would
Those
hit
are
the
fun as
sparker, and it
fuck.
would lump that
Yeah,
potato.
some
Like,
PVC. My
oh yeah,
friend
it was
and I
all
made shit
it
like
was
that
like a
all the
PVC
time.
cannon. My buddy at work had
Yeah.
built it and gave it to me. He's like, yeah, we always take it to the UP camping, but my kids are grown. He's like, I don't think we'll ever use it again. I was like, fuck, I'll take it. I was so excited. I got a free fucking
So
potato
fun.
gun. So I took it home, and we were putting spuds in it and launching it, and it worked good as shit.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, I found one of these 4-foot fluorescent light bulbs, like what's above our head right now. Like, for the people that are listening, like the 4-foot long, 2-inch diameter fluorescent bulbs,
Oh,
just like your
yeah.
standard bulb. Well, it fit in the barrel, but it was too narrow to like fit in there tight. So I took duct tape and just kept wrapping one layer of duct tape after another on the tip of it until it had like a bottom piece that was just the right size to slide in the tube nice and tight with no space around it. So now I can launch this bulb. But I thought, it needs a little bit of weight. So I duct taped a rock to the tip of it too. I filled that fucker up with ethanol, and Chris caught me doing this shit too with Brendan and one of his friends. And she's like, God damn. Like, when she seen what we did, she's seen the bulb flying through the air. That's what brought her outside. And she's like, what just happened? And I was like, I launched that light bulb out of the potato gun. And she's like, what the fuck? But I launched the thing. Boom. And when it took off, and what's funny is I used a fucking clear potato bag because we had the plastic bag that I dumped all the potatoes in the yard. That's all I had for safety glasses, and it has like holes in it so I could breathe because for some reason they punch holes in potato bags. So I had like pulled the fucking potato bag over my head like a fucking helmet, but it had holes so I could breathe still, and I could see through the clear plastic of it. So when I shot this fluorescent bulb, if it just blew up in the tube, I thought this way I'll be safe, which I probably wouldn't have been. But anyhow, I fucking let that bitch off, and it literally sailed about 150 yards in the air. And there was this huge oak tree, and it just clipped the very tip of it and just exploded into this stunning like shower of little pieces of glass, and it looked like glitter in the air. It was fucking amazing.
It's awesome.
It was
my friend and I
it was
built one of
epic,
those.
Charlie.
We'd go to his house and we'd build shit like that all the time.
Isn't it fun building shit like that?
Yeah.
We almost need to come up with a third podcast
bombs.
where me and you do like a fucking technical, but like a bootleg garage A-team. We're going to build a fucking potato gun one day,
Yeah, I was just
a
thinking
bong
about that.
the next day. I don't think there is a niche like that.
I don't think there's enough stuff on the internet and YouTube where it's just, maybe this is completely ironic and there is a lot of it, but where it's just,
It could be. There's a lot of stuff that you don't know. There's a
where
lot of
it's
foot
just-
porn, and I've never watched it.
where it's just novelty and sensationalism and nothing trying to be good, but interesting because of the contents of it, like if you're blowing something up or shit like that. That'd be
Exactly. Almost like a little, like a Mythbusters rip off in a way, but more fun.
Yeah,
We're
like
not
a
going to rip
ghetto
them off in any
Mythbusters.
ways. I don't like
That would be
ripping no one
cool.
off. But yeah, I think
I
we need
wouldn't
to
want to
do
do a
that.
Jackass type thing, but
No,
a
but we need
Jackass
to
thing
start
with, like,
building some
bombs and
shit. That would be
yeah,
fun.
That's fun.
One of the coolest.
Not like bad, not to sound like bad bombs. These are like bombs that
Yeah,
just make
not bombs.
noise.
We're not making like CIA
You're not gonna
bombs.
get you're
Yeah,
not
we're
gonna
not
get
killing
hurt.
people. We're
It's
just
just
killing
a
our
plastic
boredom.
bottle that makes
These are bombs to
noise,
kill boredom. You're
and it
talking
might
like
catch
Drano
on
bombs?
fire.
I love Drano bombs.
Forgot what it was.
Where you put the Works toilet bowl cleaner and like some toilet and some
Yeah.
tin foil and yeah. Those blow up because of pressure.
Yeah.
Like there's a chemical
And then they have
reaction. It
that
puts off enough gas that the bottle swells up and
So
blows up.
fun.
Look,
So
I got a
easy.
funny ass story I got to tell you about one of those real quick because you just made me think of it. Okay, flashback. I'm a stupid ass kid and I learned how to make these fucking bombs. Well, I have a neighbor kid that looks up to me and he thinks I'm the coolest fucking thing. He's like 11 and I'm like 14. So you see those ages, you know what, like a kid looks up to the older kid, and that's how this guy was. Anyhow, I learned how to make these bombs. I thought they were cool as hell. He's at the house hanging out one day. No one's home. I go inside. I'm telling you the story in like speed mode. I fucking put some Works in this bottle. That's what the toilet bowl cleaner brand was Works, and it's blue. Well, I put it in the bottle. I make a tinfoil plug, and I put in the bottle too. Well, I know I got like 5 or 10 minutes because it's a slow reaction at first. It's not like baking soda and vinegar. Like the tinfoil takes a while, the bottle gets tight slowly. So you got like a good solid 5 minutes, which to a 14-year-old is an eternity, you know. So I walk out the door, lightly shaking the bottle, and I know it's going to catch Brandon's interest. Well, anyhow, the little neighbor kid, Brandon Krupski, he sees me shaking the bottle, and he's like, "What you got there?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Blue Maui. It's booze." And I'm shaking it up. It's a mixed drink, you know. And he's like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, yeah, I'll let you check it out in a minute. I'll let you taste it even. You know, like me and him have shared a beer and shit like that. You know what I mean? You were just badass little kids. So I'm like, "Yeah, I'll let you taste it in a minute, but you got to hang on." So we go back over to where we were both sitting down, and he's like chills back out, and he sits down. We're sitting on the end of like my mom and dad's camper. Well, he sits there, and I keep shaking the bottle, and I can feel the tension starting to pull out of the bottle. So I know, okay, I got about a minute, maybe a little bit less or more, but I'm getting close. So I think, here's the plan. I'm going to set the bottle about 15 feet away from him. I know that's a safe distance. I've set a bunch of these off before. So we're sitting on the end of this camper thing, and it's like 20 feet long, so I can keep the bottle away from him. And I'm going to tell him that I'm going to step around the corner and piss, and that'll keep him away. And then while I'm over there peeing, you know, in quotation marks, fake peeing, the bottle will fucking explode and scare the shit out of him. So I step over there fucking pee, and all of a sudden, I look back because I want to see the reaction on his face when he like hears this explosion, and it's about time, you know. As I look back, I see that he's picking the bottle up in his fucking hand and holding it. And I'm like, what the fuck at first? Like, I'm kind of mad that he didn't listen to me for a brief moment, but then I'm like, I got to tell him to get rid of the bottle. So I'm like, "Brandon, put that down." And he's like, "Fuck you." You know how we are, you know, kids. And like, "I'm not listening to you." And like, he's looking at it kind of puzzled, like he can tell something's not right. He's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "It's Blue Maui. Put it down. It's mine. Just put it down." And I'm like trying to preserve the joke instead of like trying to get across to him that he needs to get the fuck away from it. But I'm trying to preserve the joke. I'm hoping I can get him to set the thing down and walk away from it. All of a sudden, in his hand, I can see the bottle start to become deformed. It gets its little pregnancy. It's like, brrrr, and it's growing its fucking bulb. And I'm like, "Oh, fuck no." And I'm like, "Brandon," and I'm gonna yell, "Fucking throw the bottle," or something like, and now I'm ready to like convey this is dangerous, but it's too late, and the fucking thing pops right in his hand. Boom, and just like a cloud of dust, and not dust, but like that wet mist that comes out of it, and like the haze of like smog for a second. And he just drops to the ground and starts screaming. Well, it didn't fucking hurt him at all because it wouldn't blow off your finger or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of bomb wouldn't.
The
I mean,
cap might hurt you, but
maybe,
most
but the
likely
cap
it's not
didn't
even
blow
gonna
out. It
hit
just ripped in the side, you
Yeah.
know. But what had happened is all that toilet bowl cleaner had sprayed in his face and eyes. So he's laying on the ground holding his face like screaming. Well, like adrenaline kicked in. He's a little fat motherfucker too. Like he could probably beat me at wrestling being 3 years younger than me because he was such a little chunky motherfucker. But the adrenaline kicked in. I was able to pick his little fat ass up. I ran in the house, threw him in the fucking tub, turned the water on the shower, and just like hosed him down, just like emergency. And like he was fine. Like it didn't fuck him up at all. He didn't lose his eyesight, no scarring. Like he was fine. We got his clothes dry. I gave him one of my sweatshirts, put his clothes in the dryer. Like everything was cool, right? I was fucking amazed. I'm like, I can't believe this worked out. Like, he was mostly crying because he was terrified. So I felt like shit. And anyhow, I told him, I said, look, I'm sorry. Please don't tell on me. I don't know why that's the first thing that came to my mind, but the guy was kind of a snitch, and he had like kind of half told on us already for something. So I was like, look, don't tell on me. I'm sorry. I'll do whatever you want. What do you want? Let's like make a deal. What do I got to do? And I thought, because he liked hanging out with me, he's going to be like, oh, you got to hang out with me. But he wasn't. He's like, I made model planes and cars and shit at the time, like really nice ones too. I bought the advanced ones, and they were hard to put together and shit, and I'd airbrush them, and I'd do all the little shit. Well, anyhow, there was a couple of nice planes I had and a couple of nice like old like Corvettes or something. And he's like, I want these 4 models. He's like, if you give me these models, I won't tell on you. And so I'm like, all right, fuck it. You know, I can make new models and give me a reason to put new ones together. So I'm not even that bummed about it. I give him the models. He goes home. You probably already know what I'm going to say, but it wasn't even a fucking hour or two later, and his dad was calling the house, bitching to my dad and mom that I had blown up a toilet bowl bomb in his son's face.
Yeah, how are you going to explain all those toy cars?
Yeah, because he went home and had to explain his fucking stuff he got from me. Instead of just being like, John's cool and he wanted to put new models together, this is what I get. This is some bullshit. Isn't that some bullshit?
Yeah.
Little fat
That's pretty young
motherfucker.
age, too.
Yeah, he was young. I'm not mad at him.
Well, to be caught with those bombs, not like they're going to hurt anyone, but just probably the noise is more.
The noise was rattling,
than anything else.
My stupid ass took
really,
one to school.
I don't think not that dangerous unless you're going to drink it or.
This was pre-Columbine, pre-9/11, pre all that shit. But my stupid ass took a couple of them to school. I only set one off though, but I took 2 to school with high hopes. Not to be a terrorist, but I just wanted to be a smart ass. And I put one in a trash can at the end of the hallway, and it went off.
That would have been fun.
It was fun as shit. And you know what they did? Nothing. They didn't fucking evacuate the school. They didn't do shit. They didn't know it went off in the trash can. They couldn't figure out what the noise was. Like, no one knew what it was. People thought someone had let off a BB gun or something. Like, no one knew what the noise was. Yeah. It was loud, but the trash can muffled it. It was like in between classes, and it got no rise. Yeah, I was like, God damn it. It didn't pan out like I wanted it to. I wanted it to be like, boom, and they pull the fire alarm, and we get half the day off school standing out in the parking lot, and I get to giggle and know it was me. But that's not what happened, and I'm kind of thankful it wasn't. But like I said, it was pre-9/11, pre-Columbine, all that shit. I did the worst thing I ever got in trouble for, Charlie, in school is the stupidest thing. I'll tell you the two things I got in trouble for that were stupid as fuck. One, I threw an orange in the toilet and flushed it down the toilet, and it like got stuck in the toilet. So I kept flushing the toilet until like the bathroom flooded, and then I ran out of there with it flooding, and like, I don't know, made some stupid joke about surfing or something. I don't even know what the fuck I said. It was stupid, and I got in a shit ton of trouble because everyone knew I flooded out that bathroom, and they told on me. I don't know why I did it. I was like fucking 15. I flooded out the bathroom like a 5-year-old. The teacher was pissed too. It was more the janitor was pissed.
Stuff happens, though.
Yeah, you're just a kid. You make mistakes. But the biggest one,
going downhill.
This was the biggest asshole thing I ever did in school, and it was the thing I got in the most trouble for. We were in shop class, and we used to just like huff varnish and do dumb shit. We were just assholes in shop class. Well, we were out the back door smoking cigarettes and goofing off, and there was a pickup truck parked there. And I didn't know whose truck it was at all, and I wasn't old enough to drive at the time. It was before I was 16, but it had a hood ornament that was a fucking pit bull, like a big bulldog. I'd never seen a hood ornament like that. Yeah. And at the time, Charlie, this is before your age, stealing hood ornaments was the fucking shit. Like, we were stealing, like, wearing, I'm not even making it up. Like I was such a cheese dick, Charlie. There was a point in my life where I had a Mercedes-Benz hood ornament, and I wore it hanging from a necklace. Isn't that corny as fuck?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And I had a Chrysler one. It had, like, a glass pentagon inside of a fucking metal pentagon. It was cool looking. It wasn't a very common one, but I had that one. I'd wear it as a necklace. I look like a jackass looking back on it. I need to find some pictures and show you my stupid self. But anyhow, I'm outside of the fucking shop class. I see this big bulldog, and I'm like, you shall be mine. So I go over there, and I'm trying to pull it off, but it's no fucking ordinary hood ornament. It's not, like, popping off. So I got shop class at my disposal, though. So I go in, and, like, the other kids are laughing and egging me on. I'm fucking beating the thing with a rubber mallet. It's, like, bending the hood at this point. Like, it's crumpling the metal of the truck's hood, but he's got it like bolted through. Like he's drilled holes in his hood and specially mounted this thing. It's not a regular fucking hood ornament. I find out later it's actually a aftermarket thing he got off a semi. It's off of a fucking Peterbilt semi. They have a big bulldog on the front. So that's what the hood ornament was. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, if I can wear this bulldog as a necklace, I will be the biggest cheese dick ever, and people will love me for it. So anyhow, I'm trying to get it off. I'm hitting it with the rubber thing. It's like bending the metal back and forth. It won't bend, so it won't come off. So I go and I get this big pry bar, and I get it underneath the bulldog, and I'm like getting it pried, and I can see the metal is starting to rip, but it's so hard, and I'm such a little light in the ass dude that it's just taking forever. Well, I'm hanging from this pry bar, Charlie. I'm bouncing all my weight off the end of the pry bar. Both my feet are off the ground. I'm in front of the truck, hanging off this pry bar, bouncing, 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 bouncing. And out of the corner of my eye, I can see a cop car pulling in to have a question with me. Well, I instantly just let go of the pry bar and darted in the door. Well, he didn't get a good look at me, but all of a sudden he comes walking in the shop class and like gets Mr. Woods, the shop teacher, whose name was Mr. Woods, which is a good shop teacher name, gets him to go in the office, and I see him in there telling him, pss, 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 pss. Well, Mr. Woods comes out and announces to the class, hey, which one of you was fucking that truck up? Because you might as well come forward now, because we're going to find out who you are. And I had dealt with a lot of snitching in my life, Charlie. I already knew I was fucked. Somebody's going to tell on me. Like, I knew it.
Way
I knew it.
Those people.
So I just played that fucking card, and I stepped forward, and it was like, it was me.
Sometimes you have to.
And as soon as I did, the cop is like, "Yup, it was him." Like now that you step forward, I know it was you.
That's what I did when I went to Chicago and I brought weed.
And they said, "Who's got weed?"
Yeah.
And you're like me. You bit the bullet.
Yeah, because you're gonna find out I have weed. You know.
And you fuck everyone else's fun up if you make them go that far.
Yeah, true. If I fuck up that whole trip, then what am I doing?
Sometimes you have to take the bullet for what you did, and that's
it was
what I
a good
did
thing
that time.
to do.
It's not like the first time I ever did that. I'm not like a piece of shit. I take responsibility for my shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sounds bad, but it almost turned into a good situation where they liked me for that.
Yeah, because they seen that you did the right thing. Exactly.
And they knew that I was doing all that shit, and they didn't care. But at the same time, it's not cool to bring it to Chicago. And my girlfriend at the time, it kind of got her off the hook, too, because she brought some, and she didn't say it.
That's even nice. You get a little poon reward.
You know, one of the biggest. She wanted to. She didn't want to even stay in Chicago after.
She wanted to come home and lick your butthole for saving her. It's like, dang, not lick your butthole. Although that would be a great reward. A little butthole licking is nice. Yeah. That's great stuff. You want to hear one of the things that changed me and my mom's relationship? She licked my butthole. No, that's disgusting. No, one of the things that's it's poignant to what we're talking about. One of the things that totally changed me and her relationship when I was young. And I think it made her like she always loved me, but it made her have a certain respect for me where she's always had it in a way. But I was with a friend. We were probably like 10. We seen a wishing well, okay? We stole all the change out of it. Me and him just fucking scalped this thing. And we both had, our pockets were stuffed, like $20 a change a piece at least, like a ton of change. We left. It wasn't 2 seconds after we left and I started feeling like I had stolen. Even though this money was in public and all the stuff we had told ourselves where it's like, it's in the water. They don't want it. Their wishes already either came true or aren't coming true. It doesn't matter. Who the fuck cares if we take it? No one. Let's take it. So those were the excuses we made. We took it. As soon as we left, I'm like, man, I shouldn't have taken that money. That's a shitty thing to do. So we get down the road and there's a little Y in the road where he's got to go left and he goes home and I go right and I go home. Well, it's that time. So see you later. See you later. When we make our way. Well, I kind of walk a little ways and hide in the bush because I've already decided I can't have this money. I don't want it. I'm not going to keep it. I feel like shit. So I let him walk, and then I go back, and I take my money, and I dump my pants are soaked, too, because like a fuckhead, I put all the change in my pockets. So my pants are all wet, my jeans, but it's Texas, and it's like 100 degrees, so who cares? I take my change, and instead of like spreading it around, I just like drop it into the well in 2 big piles. Because in my mind, I really know that the people that run the business probably come harvest the change to pay for the well or whatever, pay for its maintenance, you know. So I just dump it in there and just fucking leave, and I feel better about it. And I walk home and think that's the end of the whole thing, and I don't have to deal with my friend teasing me that I'm a pussy for not wanting to steal it. I don't have to deal with the fact that I stole it and the guilt, you know, with $20 isn't worth stealing to me, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. No amount of money is really worth stealing to me. I mean, if I seen a cool million, though, and felt like I could get away with it, I don't know, Charlie. But anyhow, I fucking took the change, I put it back. I get home, Another snitch in life, Charlie. My mom is already pissed off waiting for me at the house. And I walk in and she's like, "Where's the money?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "What was his name? Scott Green's mom called." His name was Scott Green. Scott Green's mom called me and said that she just caught him with like $20 worth of wet change, and that he told her that you and him took it from the well, and that it was your idea, and blah blah blah. And oh fuck, here we go. And I dealt with snitching my whole life. It's like it never ended, whether it was for something I did or didn't do. You know what I mean? It was just fucking ridiculous. And this was one of them times where something I did but didn't do, because that sure as fuck wasn't my idea. But anyhow, she tells me this shit, and I'm like, "Look, Mom, I don't have any change. Look at me. I don't have nothing." And my pants are wet. And she's like, "Well, why are your pants wet?" And I said, "All right, I'm just going to tell you the truth." I mean, I wasn't quite as elegant as I am now. I'm sure I was stuttering and scared as fuck. But I told her, I said, "Look, I took the change with him. I walked him to the Y. I felt bad I took it. It was his idea. He's lying about that. I let him walk a little way so he wouldn't tease me. And then I went back and threw my change in." And she didn't believe me at first. She thought I was lying because she seen my pants were wet. She figured I like got home and stashed the change somewhere, and I was just like sticking to the lie. So
no matter what you're saying, that's immediately.
Yeah, because all of a sudden she sees my pants are soaked. You know what I mean? She knows something's up. So anyhow, and that sounds like a stupid lie. She puts me in the car, drives me, because it's not very far. We live in Fredericksburg, Texas. It's a little town. She drives me back to the well, and sure as shit, there's 2 big piles of change in the well where you can tell somebody's dumped their change back in. And that moment from then on, I think my mom had like a newfound respect for me, where she's like, she didn't like raise me to be a thief, but she didn't raise me to not be a thief either. She didn't like don't steal or not. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that. It just was, it's that natural thing. Like, you just know, don't be a dick, man. Like I knew as a young kid. Like, no one has to tell you the 10 commandments.
Yeah, I couldn't lie to my band teacher. He was my favorite teacher.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it felt good to not lie.
When you have a real respect for
and
someone
that I fucked up, it actually felt good in a weird way.
Yeah, to tell the truth. Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah.
It's like I couldn't smoke in front of my parents. When they first found out I smoked cigarettes, I was so ashamed of the fact I smoked, I couldn't light up in front of them.
Yeah.
And they were adamant. They were like, "Look, we don't care that you smoke. Well, we do care that you smoke, but we understand that you started smoking. We're not going to try to force you to quit. We just don't want you smoking in your bedroom or the bathroom because of fire hazard. You could fall asleep. You're a shithead." All those things were true. But still, I didn't want to go out in the living room or kitchen or the outside. I didn't want them to see me smoking. I was ashamed of it. It's a weird fucking thing. But respect is a fucking powerful, powerful thing in human society.
Yeah.
It's one of the things, that's why you should always strive to respect everyone. If you respect everyone, it's just like the karma thing we were talking about earlier. Most people will reflect it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And you'll get a better result for it.
Respect yourself as part of that.
If you see the better in people, the good in people, they tend to act better for it, you know?
Yeah.
Even if you're talking about the biggest piece of shit in the world, when you're around him, if you focus on the good aspects of his personality, he'll act like a better person because
there's
of
always
that.
something awesome about someone.
Something.
No matter how
There's
shitty
got to
they
be.
are.
Just like we were talking about George Bush. I'm a George Bush fan now.
Yeah. Even people I have a hard time liking, I still try to realize that there's some fucking awesome shit about it.
Something is awesome.
Yeah.
They've had at least one good story in their life.
Even if I don't know it yet, I know that there is.
Yeah. Even if you don't know it. Yep, exactly. All right, well, let's get off here, Charlie. We got our new studio here. This has been a great episode.
Yeah.
We fucking went 120. It's a nice run. We got a nice episode. Thanks for listening, you guys. This is Band Sharpens Man, Peace, Pot, and Microdot. And stay tuned for some coming changes and some upgrades.